to be doing a dark smoke taillight tint on this Infinity Q50. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do this. The first step that we already did was clay bar the whole surface to make sure that we remove any contamination and any dirt that's sticking on to the taillight. Now that we've done that, we are ready to tape up the edges so that we can go ahead and tuck in everywhere and have a clean install. So I'm going to go ahead and start taping up around the taillight. Now we are ready to grab our dark smoke film and lay it. It is easier to lay with two people, but if you have to do it on your own, this is how you would do it. First step is going to be to tack the film on one side. Okay. Pull back some of the film, not all of it. Make sure that you're lined up correctly. Soften it up so that it relaxes a bit. Now as I circle around, I'm going to add more tension. This is where I want the tension to be, right in the middle of the piece. Now that we have all these little fingers in the middle, I'm just going to try to pick the film up to stretch them down a little bit. This is not damaging the film at all. Okay. Now the more important part of this headlight is going to be this section right here, because there's a divot right here that you need to get to. The best way to handle that is to pick up this film here on the top to give that film some space to breathe, so then you can go ahead and manipulate the film into that crevice. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do right now. And you want to start from the heaviest point and work it in from there, because that is where all the tension is and you're trying to relieve it. This is when you want to whip out your card now. Now I'm going to force it in there with the card. I'm going to make sure that the edge truly is sealed in. I'm pushing the film back this way to make sure that it gives it the space to tack onto the bottom before it touches the top, because it's always going to easily touch the top. Before we move on, we are going to make sure that it is sealed right. Heat. Okay, I see no lifting back up, so we are good to keep moving forward. Now the second area I want to tackle is just going to be this area right here. Again, there's a point here, so we want to work this film in. First step is just to heat it up a little bit, let it know that we're going to be coming through. And we're going to run our finger into that heavy divot, and we're going to lay all that film down. Boom. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Next area to tackle is gonna be this bottom section. We have this little finger right here. All we really gotta do is just pick the film up a little bit. Let it heat up a little bit. And then it's gonna wanna stretch right into place there. Now that I've pretty much assembled the whole section, I'm gonna pick up the trunk so that I have no issue with bringing the film on the inside over here, okay? Now the last section of work is this top section. If you notice, it goes straight 90 degrees. That's why it was so important that we put all this stretch this way. So we make the film wanna stretch this way, because when you do that, it makes it wanna curl around tops. So when we stretch this way, it makes the film curl over the top. So that's what we have going on here. If you see how I pull it, it kind of does show that it's wrapping around right here. So if I keep applying heat, it's gonna wrap even more. You saw that? So just applying a little bit of heat, the right technique will always lead everything to fall into place. All that's left now is to tuck all the film in the edges. By doing so, you gotta pick up the film to make sure that it's not sticking to the other panel, because if it is, it's not gonna tuck underneath. Now the one section I'm gonna work on again is this front section. There is a curl in here, so the way we make sure we get a good curling in is by heating it and stretching it. We don't need all this extra film, so we're gonna start working on trimming it off. Be very careful with this step. It's very easy to cut the car, so cut the car like this, not like that. Not on the car, but away from the car. By putting that little bit of stretch, like I said before, when you stretch it, it allows the film to come back and curl in a little bit. So that's the same thing I'm allowing the film to do now. Now we are going to start cutting the film out. Best thing for you to do is break your blade, fresh blade. That's what you always want to be working with. Okay. As we move along, we are going to heat and seal. Heat and seal. It's nice to have a good tucking tool just to make sure it is laying all down. We're going to continue on to the other side. Now this section here, as you see, there's a lot of wrinkles there, so I'm going to relieve some tension. I'm going to heat it again with the film off of the car. Beautiful. Everything stayed in place, so that means it is good to go. It's always best to do a relief cut this direction so that when you get to this inner part, you can curl it in. That's it. There you go. A completed taillight tint. Thank you for tuning in. Like and subscribe.